Hello and welcome to this video on my top 5 Indian classical albums. Before we get started, let me tell you that Roopa Panesar, who is the most fantastic sitar player in the UK, she's going to be joining me and the other members of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy. She's going to be joining us live on Zoom on Wednesday, 30th of October, and we're going to be exploring Indian classical music and how you really become an Indian classical musician. And Roopa is actually my guru, so she really taught me to play this music on the electric guitar and how to adapt it to the electric guitar. And she's really the force behind a lot of the courses that I've created for the Indian Classical Guitar Academy. So sign up and join us on this live session, and you can interact with us and ask us questions along the way. If you can't make the live session on the 30th of October, then you can still watch this session back later. And next month I'm going to be having another special guest, so there's many more of these live Zoom sessions coming up with some of the best Indian classical musicians on the scene today. So check that out and join us. And if you do sign up with quarterly payments, then you'll get access to the essential techniques for Indian guitar course. You'll get lifetime access to that. So even if you sign up for just one quarterly payment and then decide not to stick around, you'll still walk away with lifetime access to the essential techniques course. So that's a fantastic offer. But once you do sign up, you won't want to stop. You'll want to carry on, because every month there's new courses and there's new guests coming up as well. So enjoy this video and hopefully see you in that live session with Roopa Panesar on Wednesday, 30th of October. Enjoy the video. See you next time. Hello and welcome to this special Q&A video just for you guys, the members of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy. First question was something very simple from Elijah. He was just asking what are my favorite Indian classical musicians and maybe favorite albums. So I'm going to put links of these in the description of the video on the website here, so you can check these out directly. So I have 4 or 5 albums here. First one would be Ustad Shahid Parvez with Zakir Hussain. This album is simply called Sitar and Tabla and came out in 1985. This, I believe, was the first studio album of Shahid Parvez. And it's kind of shocking that it's his first album, because it's just absolutely perfection, and all of the different rhythmic ideas, all the T-highs, all the fast playing and all of the nuances, all of the delicacies in his playing, they just seem to be fully formed. You know, just as a young guy, he just must have been like a child prodigy, because he's just at this young age, he's already just the best sitar player that you've ever heard, you know. So that's a fantastic album, and it's got a few different rags on there, but I really just don't really think anyone's surpassed that. It's really incredible. And Zakir Hussain, his playing is absolutely incredible. Every time that Shahid Parvez plays a T-high, Zakir Hussain just jumps straight in and plays the same T-high right back to him. It's really quite incredible how quick and versatile Zakir is at responding. So I'd really recommend that. Sitar and Tabla came out in 1985. Next one would be, I'm going to talk about some vocalists now, 2 female vocalists. First of all, Veena Sahasrapudi. I hope I'm saying her surname right, it's very, very long. All of her albums, every single performance I've ever heard is always fantastic, always very, very well recorded. Same with these artists, you know, all of them, everything sounds amazing, but there's one album that she did which is just simply called Bandish Volume 1. So Bandish means composition. So there's that one, but just anything that she's done, every album just sounds really, really well recorded, and just fantastic performances. So she's absolutely essential to listen to. And then Kishori Amonkar, who's another female vocalist, and again, all of her stuff is fantastic, but there's one particular album that I've listened to a bit more called Samarpan. Again, I hope I'm saying that right, Samarpan. And that's Offering of the Self, okay? And it's in raag Yaman, and this is just a very, very delicate, beautiful, romantic, dreamlike sort of recital that she does. She really has a very ethereal kind of quality, Kishori Amonkar. Veena Saharaspudi, I find her sort of technically and musically, I'm really amazed by the sort of the precision and the facility that she has, the way that she's just so technically advanced. So that's really, really incredible. And of course her tone, I think she's really got, to me, the best tone that I've ever heard for a female vocalist within Indian classical music. And then, as I said, Kishori Amonkar is a bit more for me, just the ambience and the kind of atmosphere that she creates is very, very special. And of course she's technically supreme as well, but I just find that it's kind of the atmosphere that she creates which is sort of the most memorable thing about her performances. And you have to mention Amir Khan as well. He's a male singer who I'm sure most of you know Amir Khan, but he was around back in the sort of 40s, 50s, 60s. There aren't any particular recordings. I could mention one or two, but a lot of them are not very well recorded, and there's some video, but very, very old black and white video that's not particularly good quality film. So it's a little bit of a hard sale with that stuff, just because you have to get past the audio quality not being so great. But if you can really sink into his gracefulness and his mastery, the way that Amir Khan sings is really, truly incredible, and he's very much respected as one of the greatest singers of all time. He really is incredible. His alap development is just superhuman. You know, the way that he could develop an alap gradually, always keep it interesting, always feels like it's going to the right place. It's always developing as if he's completely in alignment with the raag. And then when he gets into faster, you know, doing his gamak was incredibly powerful, and you can really feel coming from his abdomen, the way that he was doing the gamak, the shaking between the notes, you can really feel that he was coming right from like his belly, right from the abdomen. So powerful. And then when he did fast tans as well, he was just impeccable. His sargam was brilliant. Everything about Amir Khan was just incredible. It's just a shame that we don't have the best recording quality, because it was a long time ago, and he didn't necessarily get the same kind of recording quality as artists like Ravi Shankar in the 50s managed to get really quite decent recordings, but not everyone seemed to be getting that same kind of studio treatment for some reason. Maybe that's because Ravi Shankar was recording more in America and in England at that time in the 50s and 60s. So that leads me on to Ravi Shankar, and there's an album that he did in 1964 called Music of India that was recorded in London, and that's really the first album of Indian classical music that I really fell in love with. It has Raag Hamsadwani, Raag Kafi and Raag Ramkali as well. So that's very, very sentimental to me, because I really fell in love with Indian music very deeply when I first heard that when I was about 17. Of course, I'd heard bits of Indian classical music before then, but this was the first time that I actually had a cassette tape. Actually, I had a full album on my hands. Before, I just heard little bits and pieces, but this was the first time I could actually listen to complete recitals, and it really changed my life. Actually, that's why I'm here. Basically, it's because of that album. And Ravi Shankar also did some incredible collaborations with Yehudi Menuhin, who's a Western classical violinist, and they did I think about 2 or 3 different albums called West Meets East, and Ravi Shankar composed these pieces that were made for the violin. Some of them were just played just violin and tabla, others were sitar and violin together with tabla, and like a jugalbandi, the 2 lead instruments playing together. But they were through composed. They didn't have space for improvisation, because Yehudi Menuhin, as a Western classical musician, he doesn't improvise. But he wanted to collaborate with Shankar. They were really great friends and admirers of each other's work. And Yehudi Menuhin was the most celebrated violinist of the time. Back then in the 50s, 60s, Yehudi Menuhin was really the top in the world. So him and Ravi Shankar were a perfect pair, and Yehudi Menuhin learned these pieces. They would have done it very much just vocally. Ravi Shankar didn't notate things, but he composed these incredible pieces for solo violin and for the 2 of them to play together, and then they played it together as a set piece. So it doesn't have the improvisation aspect, but it has these incredible rhythmic and melodic sequences, and how the 2 instruments, the sitar and the violin, cross over each other, and they're just completely packed with the most incredible examples of Ravi Shankar's style of playing. Ravi Shankar managed to distill the sort of perfect representation of the way that Ravi Shankar plays, his kind of fast, flamboyant, kind of flowery, fluttery, like a bird flapping around. He could play those kind of incredible, very decorated kind of fast phrases, and he managed to actually enshrine that in a fixed form, in a fixed composition, which most Indian classical musicians don't do that. They play, they improvise, and their style is really only heard through the method of improvisation, And of course they have different systems behind that, and they can do it on demand. But Ravi Shankar actually managed to sort of put that kind of style of his playing into a fixed composition and teach it to other musicians, teach it to virtuoso violinists like Yehudi Menuhin, and then they could play it together. So those are some of the best examples, I think, of Indian classical music, but as a fixed pieces, fixed compositions. So that's really, really important at West Meets East, those collaborations. You really, really have to hear those. It's just crystallized Indian classical music, and very short, intense pieces that just kind of do everything in 5-6 minutes. It's really quite incredible how well he managed to capture that essence in a condensed form. Okay, so that's the first question. That took me a bit longer than I expected, actually. I kind of got a bit carried away. If you enjoyed this video and want to access my complete range of guitar courses and get exclusive new lessons every month, you can start a membership subscription now. The Indian Classical Guitar Academy is a unique resource that is completely unrivaled in the guitar world. The knowledge I'm able to present here is largely thanks to my gurus Roopa, Panesar and Shakir, Parvez. They've provided me with much of the raw material, and I've used my experience as a guitarist and teacher to develop the techniques and methods to translate this beautiful and powerful style of playing, bringing the sitar tradition to life on the electric guitar. The videos feature synchronized notation, in-depth lessons that break down every technical aspect, and practice demos that give you the perfect support to drill these skills effectively. Visit the website to find out more about the structure of the courses, special offers for membership, and massive discount bundles to look out for. You can start a free membership and get samples of new material, or dive in with a 7-day free trial and fully explore everything on offer. Full membership also gives you access to the Play Lead Guitar program, which is a powerful, systematic way to build a complete set of skills as a lead guitarist and professional musician. Even if your focus is mostly on Indian classical music, you will benefit massively from understanding more about the potential of the guitar and exploring its full capability with the super structured lessons on technique and targeted exercise to master every essential skill. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.